The fourth quarter of the year is usually reserved for a big game experience. Of course, Nintendo launched Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Super Smash Bros. They're two biggest games of the year. That doesn't mean that there isn't other indies that are released. Today we're going to talk about 5 that you may have missed if you were a little too busy with Smash like I was. So many of these kind of fell by the wayside and I'm getting to them now, or I've played them before on other platforms that I can still fully recommend them to you guys. Switch is obviously one of the best places to play indie games. We all know that they release a ton of them. Some think that they release a little bit too many of them, but I personally love indie games, and to me that's not really a problem if they are of quality, and the 5 that I'm about to mention are definitely of quality. Gris was released earlier this month on December 13th to be exact, and the very first thing that jumps out at you when you see this game is the art style. It is super beautiful. This game has been compared to the likes of Limbo and Inside, and it is in the same genre. It is a side scroller with some light puzzle elements, and for this, story isn't necessarily the thing, although there are some very emotional beats to the game. It's more about the experience you are gonna have. The themes of the game include depression and self-doubt and just overcoming all these obstacles, and quite literally you are bringing color back into a world that is black and white. There is no color, and it's still a really good time. Some of the set piece moments are really cool. I wouldn't say this is like one of the best indies on Switch, but it's honestly a really fun experience. It never overstays its welcome, and for $16.99 it's a game I wholeheartedly recommend. There are some more like skill-based challenges that you don't have to complete in order to progress through the story, but they are a nice little mix-up, and they give you something to do if you are finding the experience to be a little too easy. But difficulty isn't going to be the name of the game for this one here. It's again more about the experience and the emotion you're going to feel while getting through this experience, and I can wholeheartedly recommend it. It's done very well review-wise. It's become profitable after 1 week. The developers are very happy. Devolver Digital publishing small games like this is one of my favorite things that they do. They are kind of silly and stuff on Twitter, but when they do bring games like this that matter to people up into the forefront and they end up being successful like this, it's just an overall good thing for everybody. Next up, we have a game on the list that might not need any introduction at all. It is FIREWATCH for Nintendo Switch, officially finally out. We knew that this was coming for a little while now, and honestly FIREWATCH was one of my favorite games the year that it released. I really like story in game, and what they do with FIREWATCH was like really unexpected and kind of touching. It goes down a lot of unexpected paths. In the beginning, I originally thought the game was about one thing, and it ended up being completely different, and that's really cool. Who doesn't want to be surprised and taken aback by a game that they are playing? It is completely narrative driven. There isn't going to be a ton of challenge, but the puzzle elements that are there, they're still fun, they're still cool, and the conversations that you have all through walkie-talkie is phenomenal. The voice acting is so on point, and it makes you feel some of the emotions that the characters are feeling in the game as well. Another one that is a shorter experience, you can finish this one in a few hours. When I originally played this when it released on PC, I finished it in 1 sitting. So hopefully that is the type of experience you guys can have with this, and I highly recommend it. The game takes place in 1989, and you play as a man named Henry who has retreated from your messy life to work as a fire lookout in the Wyoming wilderness. That backdrop, that Wyoming wilderness is so beautiful. Some of the key art that was released for the game was honestly my desktop on my computer for such a long time. That's how beautiful it is. There isn't a ton of other characters in the game. A woman named Delilah is really your only person that you're going to be talking to, but the story that unfolds and the relationship that they build is really cool. This one released on December 17th. It is a Campo Santo joint. I love what they did with this game, and I can't wait to see what they are doing next. The game is available now for $19.99 on eShop. I fully recommend it if you are a fan of story-based gameplay. This one is going to be right up your alley. I can almost guarantee it. Staying on track with heavy story-based gameplay, we have Quarantine Circular, which was both announced and released the day of the Game Awards. It feels like it was so long ago that the Game Awards happened, but it was only a few weeks ago on December the 8th, and this game is really cheap. It is $5.99. The story revolves around a group of scientists set to interrogate an alien discovered in the heart of a global pandemic. Work with your team, make decisions, and uncover the alien's true intention. This is inspired by classic adventure games and modern dialogue system. This is a Mike Bithell joint. Some of the key features of the game here are a one-sitting game for adults in search of a polished new world to discover, developed by the award-winning team behind Thomas Was Alone and Subsurface Circular. Social dynamics and greater choice enhance this twist on classic text-based adventures. responsive soundtrack by Dan Lesak, atmospheric use of HD rumble, an art gallery showcasing the development of this new story, and an unlockable Mr. Commentary, which is their take on a developer commentary or director commentary for movies and things like that. This is a really cool game, and for $6 you can't go wrong. Think about it like a movie a little bit. It's not going to be super long, but the story that unfolds makes you think and almost makes you just want to run through the game and make different choices. They do say that they're inspired by modern dialogue trees, and you guys know exactly what they're talking about. Think like Fallout, things like that. You're giving a bunch of options to pick, and from there the story unfolds. And yeah, it does encourage multiple playthroughs. That's why it is so short. So have fun with it. Quarantine Circular for $5.99. Support small games like this because they're so cool. We don't see them often enough. Next up, we have GUACAMELEE 2, arguably one of the best games on the list. I know it's Zach's favorite of the bunch that I am talking about here. If anybody is unfamiliar, it's a really cool Metroidvania. The combat is so on point. The co-op in this instance is like super cool, and the fact that there's like all these bosses, and you guys know what to expect from Metroidvania games. It is not a new genre. It is very represented on Nintendo Switch. The style, the creativity, the music, everything that goes into this one makes it stand out. For anyone that's never heard of GUACAMELEE, Juan saved the world once, but this time the entire Mexiverse is at stake. Luchador Juan Aguacate, that's an avocado for anybody that doesn't know, is out of retirement for a stunning new Metroidvania style adventure. Explore a huge handcrafted world inspired by Mexican culture and folklore, filled with sassy new villains and weirdos and a few old friends. Learn bone-crushing wrestling moves to fend off skeletal hordes and overcome skillful platforming challenges. Who said anything about a chicken Illuminati? Certainly not us. It has drop-in 4-player local co-op for you and your best amigos, an upgrade system. There is a lot to love here. It's a really cool experience for $20. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to play this one locally with Zach next time we're in the same room. I know that he highly recommends it, and I second his opinion. The last game we're going to talk about here is Sheltered, which is actually on sale. It's $12 instead of the original $15. It's not a deep discount, but hey, $3 is $3. And if you love Fallout Shelter and survival strategy games of this type, this one is a really good one. It has very positive reviews on Steam, and I had seen it on the eShop, and I had been kind of looking for a game like this to be playing while in bed or just lunging about the sofa. I wanted something that I could play almost exclusively handheld. I don't plan on playing this one docked a whole lot, but handheld is going to be where it's at. And I jumped in, played a couple of hours, and it's a really good time. You start off as this family. You have to upgrade your base, go out, gather supplies in order to continue to upgrade your base. You will of course run into some problems along the way. Sheltered is a deep emotional survival and post-apocalyptic disaster management game. One of the cool things about the game on Nintendo Switch is that it includes the base game plus the surrounded and stasis additional content. After a global apocalypse, you take on the role of protecting your family members living in a deserted underground shelter. Their well-being and survival are your responsibility. One bad decision and a loved one is gone forever. I kind of like that about this game, the fact that there are consequences to this. If you mess up, you mess up. You combat claustrophobia, radiation, and mental exhaustion as you try to turn the cold and cramped shelter into a home. And as they cling desperately to life, you must defend your shelter from attack and send family members out into dangerous, desolate wasteland to scavenge for vital supplies. You will come across abandoned towns, roaming factions, and feral beasts as you fight for survival. How you handle the many moral choices could be the difference between the family living or dying. With all hope lost, how will you survive this bleak new world? If you played this War of Mine, or again to a lesser degree Fallout Shelter, think that type of gameplay but with some really scary scenarios. And not that this War of Mine doesn't have some deep and scary scenarios, because it definitely does, but Sheltered brings that with its own little twist on the genre here and there. It's a really good time. I haven't played a ton of it yet. I'm only a couple of hours in, but I'm having a really good time, and I think for now this is my go-to game right before bedtime. So there you have it, 5 awesome indie games that you may have missed if you were too busy playing Pokemon or Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I know I was busy with those big releases, but now that I've spent a ton of time with those, it's time to give the indies some love, and every single game I mentioned in this video deserves your love. There are a lot of different type of gamers. Some people love the big experiences, but these smaller, more condensed, sometimes shorter experiences still deserve the light of day, and they deserve to be mentioned when they are this good. So let me know in the comments below if you are picking up any of them, and maybe if you think I'm forgetting any that recently came out, mention them in the comments. We can have some healthy dialogue about that. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, maybe even hit that notification bell to subscribe for more content, and that is pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for watching. Follow us on Twitter for more shenanigans, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. SwitchForce out.